It's Frontier Opening Bell. I'm Temple Ashaji. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. We've got a whole lot of gentlemen on the program this morning. It's a full house. Person number 4 year executive editor at Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for coming through. We've got Onyeka Ijeoma from Festival Capital Management. Appreciate your presence. Ali Kansaju, always with the rich analysis from Rich Frontiers based in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for coming through today. Good to have you on the program. Ayodeji Ebo, our regular on the show, but comes in often and exits often as well. We hope we'll have you more regularly. He's the head of retail investment at Capital Denham Advisory Bank, coming in this time with this new status. Thank you for joining us on the show. You got a few comments to make just before we start?
Yeah, so it's I'm always happy. I think congratulations to Frontier Africa. I think this is a year. I think I saw the tweet. So, and it's been my pleasure to be part of this success. Though I've changed names over a period of time, but still always very good, and I'll continue to provide my support. And thanks for the privilege to be able to support.
Thank you so much, Ayodeji, but thanks a great deal for that. Bosun, let's come to you quickly.
Yeah, I think Ayodeji, I just took the word out of my mouth. I just wanted to say a very big thank you to our panelists who are here today and those who are not here. Of course, it's not yet the a year anniversary of Frontier Opening Bell. That will be sometime around June. And I'm sure Ali's going to be the one making the presentation on that day. So you better be ready, Ali. You're the one who's going to host the show when the show clocks 1 year. So I'm just going to be listening in. But today, I want to say thank you very much for everyone who supported us. Actually, we started out a year ago as a Frontier Africa Report. The tweet that Ayodeji referred to earlier this morning was to say thank you, all of you, for having faith in us, in the new enterprise that we started in reporting Africa more extensively over the past 1 year. Exactly a year ago, the Nigerian Stock Exchange hosted a very important meeting, and that was the demutualization process. We used that particular event to open up Frontier Africa Reports, Frontier, our website, our Twitter handle, and what have you. We covered that event extensively. And we are happy to be part of the markets, not just in Nigeria, but across the African continent, in which we all talk about and analyze on a daily basis. So I want to say thank you, everyone. Vetiver Capital, you've been very, very supportive over the past 1 year since we started Frontier Africa Reports as an organization. Thank you very much, Ayodeji Ebo, through the various organizations you've worked with at Afrinvest, at Greenwich Merchant Bank, and now at Chapel Hill Denham, one of the biggest investment a bank in Nigeria, a securities trading firm. Ali Kansachu, the rich man in Nairobi of Rich Frontiers Management. If there has been anyone who supported us so greatly without taking a dime and without blinking, it's you. You believe in this new venture that we took off with the tumultuous period that the pandemic actually brought on the world. Last year, we took off just as the pandemic was bearing its fangs on the rest of the world. But thank you so much, Ali, for representing the East African community and the rest of the continent in being with us. Even when you're out of Nairobi, you're always connecting to us. You were in London during the pandemic period as well, on family trip and things like that. And you still kept with us despite the weather. You quarantined and all of that stuff. I remember. It's last year. Thank you, Ali. We appreciate your time as well. Thank you, Temple, for coming on board as well as the newest kid on the block, as it were. Onyeka, on behalf of Frontier Africa Reports, I thank you to Vetiver Capital Management, the entire management and team over there. Thank you, Temple. Let me say a very big thank you to GBS Africa, represented by Agnes Chitao and Steve. Stephen, who's always been our technical director based in Nairobi, making sure that the issue comes up every day, also supporting us on the website. Agnes is also supporting us all the way from London, where she's based as well. Thank you, everyone. Let's get the show started for today. Temple.
Thank you so much, Bosun, and congratulations to us here at Frontier Africa Report. Now let's move in on starting with the markets. How did they close yesterday? Nigerian Stock Exchange was down 59 basis points. PRVM was down 75 basis points. The Cairo Stock Exchange, of course, that's the Egyptian stock markets there, was also down 43 basis points, while Nairobi Stock Exchange slipped by some 0.17%. South Africa got a leap of 1.36%. Now let's look at the Eastern African headlines, where we've got Kenya reopening some 10-year, 20-year fixed coupon bonds, offers some 50 billion shillings, unclaimed dividends, cash shares, dividends as well, at total some 51.4 billion shillings as of December 2020. You've got Equity Group and EIB, European Investment Bank, signing 100 million euro deal. Ethiopia to start exportation of coffee to Morocco. And you've got the Canadian mortgage firm Westbridge making inroads into Rwanda. EABL announces new MD and non-executive director. Let me come to you, Ali, with the headlines quickly.
So yes, thank you, boss, for your very kind words. I'm deeply grateful. Let me start with Kenya reopening the 10-year, 20-year fixed coupon bonds. Basically, it's the domestic market which has done all the heavy lifting, and the latest story is that Kenya is seeking RFPs for a potential Eurobond offer of about 1.3 to 1.5 billion dollars, and that will be coming across our headlines over the next couple of days. But essentially, we've got an interesting environment. The government and central bank and the treasury have managed the domestic market very effectively. I think now with these very, very low rates, notwithstanding that tremendous volatility we saw in the last few sessions in the US bond market, I think the overall rate is very attractive for the government of Kenya. I like the idea that they're going for a smaller size, and that will surely help the subscription. It'll be interesting to see what level they attain and what tenor they put out into the market. But that will be a significant development as Kenya returns to the capital markets. 51.4 billion shillings in December, unclaimed cash share and dividends. That's about $500 million or just under, and I'm sure the government's eyeing that up. I think in Nigeria, you've now taken a situation where if it is not being claimed for a certain period, the government can utilize that cash. And I imagine that's where that story is headed. Equity, EIB, I've spoken with Burson before, seem to be really stepping up in Africa. This is further confirmation of that. They are very keen on entering this MSM market. They want liquidity to be pumped into that area. And Equity Bank has very good experience of that client base and therefore is a good intermediary for the EIB. Ethiopia exports into the Moroccan market. Ethiopian coffee, obviously, probably the most highly rated in the world. You've got millions of tourists coming to Morocco, and I think that's a very interesting Pan-African type trade and will make sense in my view. And if I can jump to the Rwandan market, mortgages in this part of the world are a very rare thing. I think Kenya has less than 20,000 mortgages, and there's a definite need now to provide cheaper money. And this will be an interesting development. Kagame's Rwanda is always very innovative in the capital markets area, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a significant development. East African breweries, majority owned by Diageo, had a tough time last year with all the curfews and hard lockdowns. Turnover at the top will be interesting to keep an eye on. The outgoing MD has been extremely effective at handling, rebooting, recalibrating the business and bringing lots more product faster to the market, and I think we can keep an eye on that. That looks a reasonably priced share into a post-pandemic recovery.
you very much, Ali, for those analyses. Let's quickly move on to the Western African space, where you've got the central bank and KP state flagging off a second dry season rice cultivation. You've got JMMC, OPEC, and non-OPEC day two meeting holding today. OPEC outlook positive. Aramco CEO Amir Sami giving some or sees global demand at 99 million barrels per day by 2022. Central Bank of Nigeria taking FPIs out of Omo markets. You got NSA launching X filing portal. That's the Nigerian Stock Exchange, not Nairobi. Burkina Faso also gold sells 50% of the Bombay mine. Of course, Noble Energy achieves first gas flow from Halen Gas project in Equatorial Guinea. Ayodeji, let me come to you with the central bank headlines there. You've got them being exited or taken out of the OMO space. The FPI is taken out of the OMO space, and of course, the flagging off of the KB and CBN rise, second dry season. I mean, after the flood program, after the flood that they experienced last year, looks like, okay, this is a new dawn for them.
Okay, thanks, Temple. And I'll start off. I'll kick off with the FPI news. And for me, I think it came as a surprise, and I'm still also trying to confirm that if this is how possible this is, because we even know that the FPI has dried out. It's what we're having is more outflow than inflow in the country. So, and we feel that we still need that liquidity. Yes, not for a major dependence on FPI, but we still need that liquidity. FPI creates that FX liquidity for any country. And I feel that there needs to be a more structured attraction for them before we would even take them out of the OMO market. If we recall, in 2019, when the market was segmented and the OMO was carved out for the banks and the FPIs, which gave the CBN the leeway to be able to raise rates to attract the FPIs. So taking them out of OMO and bringing the FPIs to the T-bills, or let's say the Nigeria Treasury bills or bonds market, it will increase well, that's a lot of supply, and that would a lot of demand, and that would lead to significant drop in yields environment. But we know that CBN needs this. We don't have that luxury of liquidity. When you check our external reserves, it's been depleting. It's depleted over 1 billion in the last 1 month, and I feel that maybe this is a long-term plan or medium to long-term plan from the CBN. Yes, I agree that OMO is meant for liquidity management and not to be sold to FPIs. But I think that there needs to be a new structure that needs to come in place, at least to help stabilize that. Then coming to the news on the second, on the flagging off of rice cultivation. Yeah. Yes, it's a cheering news that government is trying to sustain this momentum. We've seen a lot of Nigerians are adjusting gradually to the consumption of local rice, and we know that over time production will be perfected, and it will reduce the demand for FX for the importation of rice. Yes, there's still a lot of imported rice across the country, but I feel that while we are hoping for a more stable season, last year you recall that there was a significant flood that led to the shortage of the shortage in terms of harvest. So we feel that starting this on a very positive note, and we are optimistic. We're optimistic that if this season can be very successful and we can sustain that momentum, then that beyond just generating employment, it would also will boost that sector and also reduce the demand for FX.
Right, and thank you very much, Ayodeji. Because we are time constrained right now, Onyeka, since Ayodeji has spoken extensively to the CBN story. Would you like to have a go with the OPEC story, expectations, I mean, from the meetings and possibly the forecast that Aramco CEO is giving?
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Temple. We know that the OPEC meeting is kicking off today. By tomorrow, we should. By tomorrow, next tomorrow, we would have already digested, the decisions, decision from the monitoring committee. And I would say that the base expectation currently is that we would see an easing of the production cut agreements from OPEC Plus, largely because the oil market has basically sustained its upward momentum in the past couple of months, and there are more tailwinds than headwinds for the sector right now. Yesterday, there was news that economic activity was basically kicking off full time in Texas. As the governor has, the Texas governor has removed the mask mandate from the public, generally opening up, all forms of, of economic activity in the space, both outside and inside, said activities. Vaccine distribution seems to be kicking up a notch, especially with the approvals of the different vaccines. The Johnson and Johnson vaccine was approved by the FDA early this week, and the Biden administration has basically stated that they expect to have obtained enough vaccines to vaccinate the entire public by May, which is very positive for the market. And on the back of this, we are seeing the Aramco CEO basically say that he expects us to return to the markets to return to near pre-pandemic levels by the end of the year. Basically, looking at 99 barrels, 99 barrels a day compared to around 100 barrels a day from pre-pandemic level, where we are currently at 96, which is very significant. It's positive. This positive outlook is strong for countries like Nigeria, and the expectation the expectations that the production cut agreement will be eased is also positive for Nigeria, which has seen its oil volumes drop significantly. If we do see it, we can expect an improvement in oil receipts for a country like Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Onyeka Ejoma. Boston, let's quickly get your comments before we move to the Southern and Northern African space.
I think I'll just speak, thank you, just briefly to the issue that Ali spoke about from East Africa regarding unclaimed shares, unclaimed dividend and things of that nature. The issue in Nigeria, like you said, is moving around Africa. Yesterday, the Ghana Central Bank also issued a 13-page document speaking to unclaimed or dormant bank accounts and how that should be treated by banks and other financial institutions within the Kenyan market. So I think around across the frontier Africa, a lot of jurisdictions are beginning to take a look at this. Times are very tight anywhere, and every authorities, governments are looking for any idle cash under the pillow, under the mattresses, that the saying goes here in this part of the world. If you can find some idle funds somewhere where, well, does it belong to anyone? How legally can we use it? To what purpose? So I think that's why the Central Bank of Ghana issued that statement yesterday. Like Ali says, the authorities in Kenya are heading somewhere with all this, looking for unclaimed shares, unclaimed whatever. I think the Ghanaian authorities are also looking at their neighbors, Nigeria and Kenya as well. Let's see how things pace out in the days and months ahead.
Thank you very much, Bosin, for that. Let's move on to the Southern African space, where we see it as a spin-off is in talk now with insurers to settle claims worth some 136 billion rand for all the litigations that it has got. And of course, Spiros Real Estate purchase of Business Park for 9.2 million euros is now done. You've got DRC projects 3.2% economic growth in 2021. Mining deal is to pick up as world reopens. That's BMO Capital coming ahead of its annual conference that it is looking to host sometime soon. African Gold Acquisition Corporation, NYSA IPO, raises $360 million to buy assets in Africa. Ali, we'll come back to you with this headline speak.
if I may, I'll just go to a couple of them. I think, there's a lot of things going on in the DR Congo. We've had what seems to have been quite a jiu-jitsu move by the president to distance himself from ex-President Kabila, who famously quoted Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time of the election and said, "I'll be back." Clearly, President Tshisekedi is not keen on having him back. He's toppled him within the parliament. He seems to have now created some breathing space for his own brand of politics. There seems to be a lot of international support. And on top of that, you've got the significant tailwind of the rebound in commodity prices. Copper, whilst it's come off in the last 48 hours, is at 2011 highs. And when you take all of that in the mix, I think it speaks to a reasonably positive moment for President Tshisekedi. I think 3.2% economic growth is within the realms of possibility, and also that we'll see a significant pickup in mining-related activity in Congo. So I think it's worth keeping an eye because the politics seems to have taken a new direction and the underlying economics seem to be much more positive. If I can finally just touch on Spur Group, the headline revenue down 40.2%, that's a big hit. And I think you see there a company that was caught at the bleeding edge of 2020's hard lockdowns in South Africa. South Africa, it was hit badly with 2 waves, but currently test positivity rate, even without the vaccine, is below 5%, and the numbers have fallen away dramatically. So I think all these food entertainment companies will be looking with some anticipation at this year and for a rebound.
Thank you so much, Ali, for that. Ayodeji, let me come to you with the mining deals expected to pick up as world reopens, SPMO Capital. Lately in Nigeria, we've been seeing a whole lot of support from the federal government in terms of mining. Gold is a major frontier for them at this point in time. How do we square this up?
Yes, I think it's also another positive news by the federal government, and we feel that as much as we have this resources, so the focus beyond just the mining is how do we want to add value. So we should move away from just exporting those raw materials and we begin to import the finished goods. Let's add more value. By adding more value, you'll be able to create more jobs, and it will also reduce insecurity in the country. So there needs to be a robust roadmap or blueprint on how that would even x-ray the opportunities so that people can apply for licenses across the value chain, of the mining sector. We've seen when you check the GDP data, it's been growing at a very fast pace on a year-on-year basis, and we expect that there should be more support. I think yesterday there was the news that there's no fly zone on or within the Zamfara region. Yeah, so, but beyond that, even in the southwest, there are areas where you can also mine and gold, which we can also export, so that we diversify our FX earnings, which is also very critical.
Thank you so much. I mean, I guess you're referring to Osun State in that regard, and recently the federal government made an inroad into that state as well. We move on to the Northern African space. We're running out of time quickly. Jumia is expanding its footprint in Egypt via online food delivery to fill the void that was created by the exit of Uber Eats. Mr. Oil achieves net profits of some 9.45 billion Egyptian pounds. Exports Development Bank of Egypt approves a capital hike. Of course, Morocco welcomes plant coffee imports from Ethiopia. I'll come to you quickly, Ali. We're running out of time, but we can deal with this.
Let me speak about Jumia. Jumia was this extraordinary IPO, which I think practically quadrupled, then got hit, came all the way back down into single-digit dollars, and then rallied sharply during the pandemic era. this is a smart bit of business. You've got a 120 million market. You've got high density in Egypt. Everyone is concentrated along the Nile effectively. So I think that's a smart bit of business. They've moved out of a number of countries, and I think they've picked the right one to get back into. Bullish for Jumia.
Appreciate that. So, Onyeka, your last word, especially on Jumia, instead of them to get listed on your Nigerian stock exchange, when the skips data moves to New York Stock Exchange.
I mean, this is a very large company that technology company that we're talking about, I feel like it was a very smart move for Jumia to move into that space. There's very little expertise, research and investing expertise in the technology and e-commerce space in Nigeria as a whole, as well as very little opportunity for capital raising, especially at the levels that levels of planning that Jumia expects in the future from the Nigerian market, and it does make a lot of sense. The hope is that in the future we'll see a market that is more diversified and deep enough for tech companies to be able to come in. But just speaking on the move into the Egyptian market, it's very smart move. It's very smart movement from Jumia. They already have very strong African expertise in the African market, and really not even an analysis, but I just generally wish them the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Onyeka Ejoma. Also, you must give us your final words, perhaps in 30 seconds.
Just to say thank you all over again. I think there are a few guys, some startups in Egypt that have started some door-to-door delivery, and I think I saw that in the news recently. Some young guys have the whole pack on their back and what have you. So I think Jumia is beginning to say, look, Egypt is looking very stable from all points of you can think of, in exchange rate, in terms of carry trade, the currency and what have you, and the footprints. The whole news about the virus has not been as pronounced in Egypt as you found in South Africa, for example. So why don't you head to the land of the pharaohs and see if the mummies you see how much you can make from that. And has a young population as well. So just go there and pitch in and muzzle in your strength as a bigger e-commerce delivery on the African continent.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your rich analysis on the show this morning. Ali Kansachi from Rich Frontiers Management in Nairobi, Kenya. Thanks a great deal for your perspectives. Ayodeji Ebo, now with Chapel Hill Denham Advisory Bank. Congratulations once again. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning. Onyeka Ejoma from Vertical Capital Management. I appreciate your wonderful perspectives being shared here. Bosun Amofaye, Executive Editor at Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for your analysis as well. This has been Frontier Opening Bell for this Wednesday at Temple Ashaju. See you next time. Bye for now.